Alright, hello gentlemen and welcome back to the channel. This is 20 Cent. Today is Christmas Day, even if we are in August, and if the outside temps are as high as they have ever been since men are recording them. It's around 40 here, I'm literally melting down, and it's still present day because UPS just delivered this today to me, which is a very high value camera which is completing my new video setup. I spent hundreds of hours looking for good deals and things to save on this video setup, and today I'm going to tell you what just after we unbox this puppy together. Let's get started. So, as you may have guessed by reading the video title, this is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, a 1300 US camera, 1400 euros, sitting just 100 euros below Canon EOS 7D camera. But it does not make at all a competitor for the EOS 7D, because while the video quality is much higher, it's not able to take great quality pictures. It's really made for video shooting. It's a very well made, a very efficient camera that does what no other camera on the market at this price point can do today. There are hundreds of well done video reviews on YouTube, including Linus Tech Tips and Garth De Bruno, which I'm going to link in the video description. What we'll be focusing today instead is the main camera defaults, which you are going to need to buy accessories to compensate them, and how I personally managed to solve them for quite cheap. So the first thing that you may know about this camera, and it's true for approximately all professional grade equipment, is that it comes with barely no accessories. It comes with one battery, no battery charger, one power supply cable, and however, it still has DaVinci Resolve Studio. That's the professional edition of the software, which is usually quite pricey. It's given for free with the camera, which is still very great, but other than that, there's no useful accessory inside, and you're always going to need to buy some. And as everything in the photo video field, it's often very expensive. So as always, I will be providing inside the video description links to everything that I'm going to introduce to you. Feel free to have a look if you need more information about them. They were all bought by myself and for my personal use, so what I mean is there's no sponsoring all behind anything that I'm going to show you today. First of all, when you buy a camera, you want to attach accessory to it, and the only thing that I didn't want to mess with was the camera and the accessory security, so I bought this Smallrig cage. It's just a standard cage in which you place the camera. It's relatively cheap, and I'm glad of this choice because it has holes all around it, so you can attach anything to it without missing any space. I also bought this handle because no compromise on the camera security at this price point. So regarding the main weak point of this camera, well, it's able to shoot at 4K 60 Hz, and it's only provided a standard Canon LPE6 battery, which has 2000 milliamps, which is quite low. And if you're shooting inside, like me, most of the time you are fine because you can just plug the power supply cable. But if you shoot outside, this battery will only provide you from 20 to 45 minutes of battery life, which is very low if you're shooting videos. As for me, today I'm filming inside with this Canon 750D, which is, in my opinion, a good choice at a mid-range price. And for the outside shootings, I currently use this DJI Osmo Mobile 2 and the DJI Osmo Pocket, which are both very great. This is definitely not professional video, but it's still very convenient, very light and easy to use, so I'm glad of them. But I may be interested in shooting outside, so the options that you have are: one, buying multiple of these, but they are pricey if you take the official ones. Canon sells them for 60 euros each, and you can also buy them from other brands at around 10 euros each, so it could be a solution. And you can also buy external batteries. You can buy from Blackmagic's website adapters from Blackmagic power supply to D-tap battery. However, the adapters are expensive, and the D-tap batteries, like everything in the video field, are hugely overpriced. It's like 140 euros for 6000 milliamps, which is 3 times one battery, and 170 euros for twice this capacity, which is still overpriced in my opinion. So the solution that I came up with was just taking the provided power supply cable, cutting it and soldering it to a standard male DC adapter, and then I bought this battery from Amazon, which is 8300 milliamp hours and only 60 euros, pretty much a third of the other one price. And what I really like about it is you can plug the battery, but you also have two other outputs. One is 9 volt, one is USB, so 5 volts if I'm right. And as you may see later, it's going to be very convenient for my use case. That's a solution that I very recommend. It works like a charm. Cutting the power supply cable was not a problem because this is the length. It's like 1.5 meters. I think it's very short. So what I did is I bought a longer one at eBay at around 25 euros. So I have a short cable for the battery connection and then a long cable for inside wall plug. Now regarding the lens, the camera comes with obviously no lens. It has a quite standard in the cinema industry micro 4/3 mount. It's also the same if you are using modern Panasonic Lumix cameras. But as for myself, with shooting with Canon cameras, EF mount is not the same, so you cannot just take Canon lenses and mount them to the camera, so you have to use adapters. So what I did is, first I still bought one micro 4/3 lens. It's the 25mm from Lumix, and it's very good because it allows me to have autofocus for most of my situation, and it's also very cheap, so it's a good entry point for me. But still, let's take the example of this lens. It's a Canon Macro 100mm lens. This is priced at around 1,000 euros, and I mean, I first didn't want not to be able to use it with the camera, and I didn't want to have to pay for another micro lens, which are very pricey. So what I did is I found this K&F lens adapter, which looks like just a metal ring. It's 20 euros I think, but I'm really surprised of the good manufacturing quality of this adapter. And what you do is just you mount the EF lens to the adapter and then mount it to the camera so that you are able to shoot with your EF lenses. The only drawback is that you are going to lose any kind of autofocus, image stabilization from the lens. You can buy much more expensive adapters at around 400 euros if you want to have pass-through for autofocus and image stabilization, but I think this is a very good compromise. You just have to set the focus manually and lose the image stabilization, but for my purpose it's still very fine. That's my solution for the lens. It's like 20 euros instead of 400, and I have this cheap option for quick shooting with autofocus. Note that there are also mid-range solutions for adapters that are priced at around 180 euros, but from what I read, they are not satisfying enough for this purpose. But I mean, I still gave a first quick try at this one and I was very satisfied of the results. We spoke about the cage, we spoke about the lens. Now let's talk about this camera. Video file sizes range is quite large. It goes from 5 megabytes a second at Full HD highly compressed to more than 100 megabytes per second at 4K 30 Hz, so presumably twice this size for 60 Hz video. So you are going to need high write speed peripherals to write on. Write speeds are quite expensive. Blackmagic still did a great work at offering multiple solutions for storage. You can either use a standard SD card, a CFast card. SD cards are great, they are cheap, but write speeds are quite low. While CFast cards, I have very high write speeds, but they are so expensive, there was no way that I put so much money in it. For example, I found a 256 gigabytes card at more than 350 euros, which was unthinkable. But Blackmagic also allows you to use a USB-C drive to store the files in. The other great thing about it is that you're then able to unplug it from the camera and plug it to your computer, which is also very convenient to retrieve files faster. That was the obvious solution to me, and I bought this Samsung T5 SSD at a great price during Amazon Prime Days. It's normally priced around 180 euros at the normal retail price, but I was able to find it at 130 euros for 1 terabyte. And then I got a few savings by 3D printing the hard drive enclosure, which I'm going to use to screw the drive to the camera while shooting. This cage is normally priced at 30 euros, and I think it cost me around 5 euros of printing materials and time, so I saved around 80 euros on the SSD and the SSD enclosure. I'm going to put the 3D files if you want to print any of the things that I 3D printed for this camera setup in the video description. With this storage, I'm going to be able to shoot for around 70 minutes at full spec 60 Hz, and there's also a 500 gigs version, which is around half the price for this one. So if you want to save even more money, you can go with the lower version and then buy another one if you need one in the future. Regarding audio, this camera has stereo microphones, which are, from what I saw, pretty decent, but it's still useful to use external mics on the camera, and you are able to plug either a mini XLR mic with an adapter or a standard 3.5mm jack to the camera. So two great options. As for myself, I have about two solutions. The main one being this Rode SmartLav Plus mic, which I'm already using for my other videos and I'm using it right now with you. I think it's a great solution, and what I asked about is 5-meter jack extender cable, which allows me to have my camera far away from me without needing a wireless adapter, which is very expensive for microphones. Right now I'm wired directly to the Canon camera, and I'm going to do the same for the Blackmagic. I asked about an adapter, a stereo splitter, so that I am able to plug two mics inside the camera and split the signals once recording. I'm going to put the links in the description as well. Regarding video playback, the camera has a very convenient 5-inch touch screen on the back. I think it's a great option, except that you can't move it at all. You can't turn it, you can't tilt it, you can't do anything, and that's a very weak point, because if you are shooting from the front, then you are not able to see what you are shooting, and if you are centered or anything like that. So you obviously need an external display. Problem is, cameras, video displays are very expensive. Even Part did again a great job at offering a full-sized HDMI port. Usually it's micro HDMI, so you need an adapter, but this time they did a great job with that. The cheapest options that I was able to find were 7-inch displays at around 150 euros from Amazon, which is way too expensive in my opinion. So what I did is I just bought one of these. These are standard LCD panels that come from Amazon as well. They are very cheap, around 30 euros. They come with a controller, a remote, and anything you need to build your own display. What I did is then I again 3D printed an enclosure for it. This is another one I'm using for another project, but this is the actual one. I printed the enclosure and then I glued the display inside and the controller in an enclosure on the back. So now I just have to plug a DC cable and an HDMI cable. I'm quite proud of this solution because the total cost for this is around 40 euros, excluding the 3D printer. It's taken around 25 hours to print, so it was quite fast. And the great thing about it is that's when the external battery comes in the game again, because as I mentioned, there are other outputs for it. So I am able to use one output for the camera and the USB one output for the display, and the DC to USB cable for the display came along with the display itself. So I didn't even have to buy any other adapter, and it just works very fine like this. So no big deal, huge saving on the monitor. And again, I made holes on the side so that I'm able to screw it to the rig or anywhere on the rig, and it acts just like any other pricey monitor for video recording. Also, I printed an enclosure for the battery with mounting points on it so that I can put it inside and then attach it anywhere on the rig, which is great as well. So if we sum up, the cage was around 100 euros for both the cage and handle, and then I made huge savings on the SSD mount, the battery mount, the display mount. I'm going to print other things if I need, for the mic, for anything else. The only thing that I'm missing right now is a shoulder rest so that I can put the camera on my shoulder for outside shooting, but that's not a thing that I'm working on right now, so there's not a hurry, and I'm counting around 250 euros for the shoulder rest setup. I think that's pretty much it for everything that's needed for this camera. You may notice that I own other accessories for it, let's say this Zoom H2N mic, this Rode NTG4 Plus shotgun mic, which is also very great value mic, and this color grading palette, which is also great. I'm going to make a dedicated video to show you how useful it can be regarding color grading, because when you're shooting as a RAW camera, the image comes out very flat and you have to calibrate it yourself, so it's very useful. But all of those accessories are purely optional. You don't have to buy them, so I'm not counting it inside this essentials accessories feedback that I'm shooting right now. However, if you have any question about them before I post dedicated video, feel free to use the comments sections and I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. And now all I have to do is just put it all together and show you the result, and then we'll switch the cameras to see how different the two ones look. Alright, that's it. I think we're pretty much done with it. I didn't forget anything except putting the Allen key back down the cage. Now this is how my indoor setup looks like with the display, HDMI cable, the SSD is mounted to the side, and even the mini XLR to XLR adapter. The mic is just above my head right now, but you cannot hear me from it because I didn't enable it. I think it looks great. Now I'm going to attach it to this tripod and we are going to have the big change, and we are hopefully going to see a great change in its overall video quality. Alright, hey there! I hope that you all can see how different the image is right now. We just jumped from Full HD at 30Hz to 4K at 60Hz. And that's pretty much how all of my next video will look like. Starting with the new Apex Legends prop making with the shield battery, releasing soon. If you like this one, please subscribe to the channel so that you're sure to miss no other one. And again, feel free to have a look at the video description below. If you are interested in anything that I showed up inside of this video, I will be providing links for all of them. I hope that you all enjoy my next Blackmagic 4K videos, and until then, I wish you a pleasant day.